All right, let's talk a little bit of serious business here. I wish we had covered this a little bit more, but there's still 2 days left of the Amazon union election on Staten Island's JFK warehouse, which a friend of the show, Chris Smalls, is obviously spearheading that union effort. We had the great pleasure and honor to
I
interview
am
Chris last
actually,
year.
I am thinking, because we've been talking about expanding into, doing some more film work and on the street work and documentary. And I think my first one related to this is going to be, I think we're going to put together a due dissidence documentary called Where is AOC? And we're going to go to all of the union drives that she doesn't show up to and start interviewing people about how she told them she would be there.
Yeah, it's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like it. I'm willing to greenlight that right now.
Yeah. All right. We got the funding.
That's a great. Yeah, your budget is $55 a month. Make it happen. Yeah. No. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I just want to play
she is especially because I was among the first volunteers for AOC. Like I'll set it up that way. I'll show the pictures of me handing out postcards for her.
Yeah, let's do it.
And the culmination will be going down to DC to try to confront her. Like, hey, I was out on the streets of Astoria for you back in 2018, and you're an enormous disappointment.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I do. I think it's a really good idea. I want to play this video here. By the way, just so you know how much the media just absolutely sucks, and how the public really sucks when it comes to issues of labor, and how the modern left, or what passes for a left, really sucks. The AP put this video about the Amazon Staten Island Union Drive on their YouTube channel. The AP YouTube channel has 1.83 million subscribers. And this video, as of a few minutes ago, is 3 days old. It has 720 views. 720, less than 1,000 views on a channel of almost 2 million subscribers. This video about a historic union drive has less than 1,000 views. That's pathetic. That's an embarrassment. But here, we're going to give it a few more views right now.
Props to the AP.
Yeah.
Well, we're standing in line at the JFK Fulfillment Center, voting today whether or not to join the Amazon Labor Union. As you can see, it's a large turnout out here. It's a very large building, 8,000 employees. It's currently still undecided. I'm still, weighing all options before I get to the poll. The pluses are, it would be nice to, I work with some really fantastic people. It's nice to be able to have their say in a lot of things, but some of the negatives are that I do have a good relationship with some of the managers, PAs in the building, so I don't want to try and ruin that distrust. So that's some of the negatives I'm weighing. So,
all right, just going to pause it for a second. We'll take this case by case. I wish I could communicate to this guy how little his good relationship with his managers and supervisors actually means. Like, it actually means nothing. It's actually not going to get you anywhere. You know what I mean? But this is what you're up against. So we talked about this in the past, how, these workers feel like, well, yeah, we wish things could be better, but, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to, piss anybody off. And so maybe I'll just settle for what I have. Those managers and those supervisors who you have such a great relationship with,
they don't give a fuck about you if you were on fire.
Yep. Or if you had a heart attack on the floor, as has happened at Amazon, they would leave you there for a few hours before they even moved the body.
Yeah, make you sign something releasing them from liability.
Right, exactly.
17-year-old in South Korea.
Here's Chris.
My name is Chris Smalls. I'm a former Amazon employee of almost 5 years. Now I'm the current interim president of the Amazon Labor Union. Yeah, well, the first thing we want to do is promise to fight for these workers. Working conditions is definitely a top priority. We've seen our co-workers get carried out on stretches throughout the course of the campaign. So working conditions, health and safety, job security, higher wages.
I mean, I don't mind saying out loud, my word's gonna be no. It's gonna be no, for sure, 100%. Because a lot of the promises union is making, I don't know if they're gonna be able to fulfill them.
What are some of those promises that you've heard?
Oh, the pay raise and stuff, and personal time.
Most, like, all the managers are telling us about no, this and that, but I'd rather just say yes, I guess. I see the payments, like, it's okay, but I feel like we deserve a little bit more.
All right, there you go. So you had a couple, one undecided, one yes, one no.
I suspect a lot of people voting yes would not say so on camera because they're like, shit, man, this thing goes south. They're going to fire me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Well, you notice the confidence.
You only get the no people on camera.
Well, the guy who was saying no was very, very confident. The guy who said yes was kind of sheepish about it. Right.
Yeah.
Saying,
He's scared he's going to end up getting fired if this doesn't work.
Right. Or just, be known as the guy who was going to be
said,
a thorn
told the
in your
AP
side. Yeah,
that he was voting yes.
Yeah. When it comes to Amazon Pay, I mean, yeah, they do pay above minimum wage. They pay, $17, $18 an hour. To me, the real indicator of whether a job pays well is not necessarily the
but that's not good pay for warehouse work. Warehouse work has traditionally paid more like factory work. It's paid more of a middle class income.
Well, sure. Well, yeah, sure. And
actually, when Amazon warehouses show up in an area, it drags down the wages for warehouses all through that throughout that county.
Right, exactly. And a major indicator, I think, of whether a wage is fair or not is the turnover rate, because that gives you an indication of whether or not the work is worth it. And a wage is obviously a main factor in it. I mean, it's just unbelievable backbreaking work in any warehouse. I did a holiday stint in the UPS warehouse. It was really fucking hard. Amazon's way worse than that. You're talking about shifts twice as long, 12 hours, your every movement literally that your body makes is tracked and logged. I mean, of course, this should be such a no-brainer, but it's not, because there's risk involved, and Amazon makes that risk known. And, you have a working class that is just kind of beaten into submission. And, God bless Chris. I mean, he's a never say die kind of guy. I mean, even in the face of the Alabama loss, he said, you know what, I'm doing this. They've had him arrested. They've done everything they can to scare this guy and keep this guy away. And he just keeps coming back, just keeps fighting. Yep. So good for him.
Yep. Yeah. How corrupt do you have to be as a corporation for the government to force you to have a revote as they're doing in Bessemer?
Yeah.
How crooked did that vote have to be before the government would tell you have to do it again? So yeah, I mean, Amazon, it's strange. In some ways, it feels like we're really reliving the Gilded Age, right down to the exploited workers trying to fight back against railroad combines and, Carnegie Steel. And it's like we're back to this era. And on the other hand, one wonders, do we have a population that's tough enough to really fight this battle? And I don't want to be pessimistic. Hey, man, look at the Starbucks people. Like, they're doing it. They're making it happen. And again, yeah, look at Chris. If there's anywhere where you're going to find people who are tough enough to fight this battle, that's where you're going to find them. You're not going to find them at the colleges. You're not going to find them at the DNC.
Exactly,
You're going to find them at Amazon. You're going to find them at warehouses. You're going to find them at trucking companies. You're going to find them at mining companies. That's where you're going to find people who still have the backbone to fight these kinds of fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what Starbucks proved, and this does give you some hope. Now, at Amazon, it's more difficult because these warehouses employ thousands of people. And so because these warehouses employ so many people, corporate, meaning in this case, the richest company on earth, can dump all these resources into a massive blitz against the unions. Whereas, every Starbucks location, you're talking about employees anywhere from, sometimes as little as 15 to as high as whatever, their flagship store, 80 people. You're talking about very, very low turnout. They can't possibly police all of this very, very closely. And so you have it being a much lighter lift for each individual location to unionize. But what Starbucks proved is that there is a massive ripple effect once one store unionizes. Once that first domino falls, it really does spread like wildfire. And the same thing can be true of Amazon. It's just a tougher lift to get that first domino to fall, or a tougher push. A lift and a fall is
I think you got a better chance in New York than in Alabama.
Sure. Absolutely. But again, you just see, that person there who said, I'm voting no, I don't trust that the union can deliver, it's New Yorker, man. It's a person of color, blue collar. That's, those are the kinds of guys you live with in New York. And, we think of New York. You've said over and over again, New York is really a Rockefeller Republican town more than it is a progressive town. It's a town of dominant capital. It's a town dominated by capital. The knee of capital, the boot of capitalism is on your neck every second of every day you live in New York City. And it becomes something that people just feel is inescapable and unbeatable. And I think that's a major obstacle in this kind of union drive.
I would say on the other side, unlike someplace like Alabama, so what if the union drive goes south and you get fired from Amazon? You can get other jobs.
Go somewhere else.
That level. It's not like Alabama.
Yeah.
So you have that working in favor of New York.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. But this is one of the other instances where you just kind of feel like, and this is a tune we've sung a million times on this show, but what if we had Medicare for all? Don't you think these union drives would go much different? Because if people didn't have to worry about either losing their health insurance altogether or ending up with lesser health insurance if the union can't provide the same kind of deal that Amazon is giving them now, if that was just not a concern, you have any idea the upper hand that would give labor in these kinds of back and forths? It's just, and that's really, I would argue that's probably the main reason why there's such resistance to it, even more so than, big pharma and all that stuff. I would say the power it would give labor over capital is the real reason why the powers that be don't want it.